This is Damian from Diamonds at 21, and today I am here with a long overdue video that I was supposed to write weeks ago. I want to show you a group of characters that I made up a long time ago. I'm talking like maybe around 13 years ago or something. Back in middle school, I conceptualized a cartoon called Skate The name likely stands for Skaters Unite, but the title was also inspired by the Snarky Puppy song Skate You, even though that sort of jazz vibe doesn't quite suit the characters anymore. Now, back then, I was so adamant on becoming an animator, either that or a graphic designer were my top career choices, and I was making up so many ideas for cartoons, designing a bunch of characters, and Skate U was just one of those ideas. Plus, I was always encouraged to make storyboards for everything, but nothing never really got done, especially as I got older, even in college, where I was initially going for animation, and I lost my passion, ended up embarrassing myself in front of the whole class with an assignment, and ended up switching to illustration, which was another top option for my future ventures anyway, still is. But back to the main topic of Skate U. There were originally 9 main kids in the Skate U crew, but the current version only has 7 of the kids still in the crew. I'll start to tell you their current names, their ethnicities, and their personality traits. We have Raul Contreras, who is Puerto Rican, specifically with a lot of indigenous Taino blood and some distant West African, haven't figured out what yet. Raul is hype, super friendly and amiable, and wants everyone to join in on the fun, and he can be a bit rebellious when it comes to skate tricks. Virgil Webb, aka Verge, who is Welsh, and although he shares that rebellious side like Raul, I think Verge has his moments where he just likes to chill and read, and maybe he's into academics sometimes, just to go against his punk appearance. Jamais vu, whose name is based on the phrase jamais vu, which means when something familiar becomes unfamiliar, like when a repeated word no longer sounds like a word. She's Singaporean and is carefree, imaginative, and she wasn't intended to be a manic pixie dream girl based on her looks and name, but might come across as such by accident. Dominique Blaze, who just goes by last name Blaze, he is Ivorian, like from Ivory Coast, and Brazilian, still fully black though. And he's a little close minded at times, I can relate. Although once you get to know him, he can be comforting and protective of his friends and family. The twins, Sterling Wakefield II and Storm Wakefield, who are of Kenyan descent. Sterling was initially kind of just like the I think I'm too cool type, and he's always trying to look cool, but I can't say maybe despite that, he is super paranoid about breaking bones and getting hurt. His twin sister Storm is tough, ready for anything, maybe a teeny bit competitive, but loves to see others having a good time. And Aiden Hung, aka Crash, who is of Vietnamese descent, and unfortunately still feels like the stereotypical nerd. Rather clumsy, a little meek, but to add something different to my old ideas, maybe he doesn't quite think things out before taking action. The two old friends that are not in the main group anymore are Rob Patterson, I think was his old last name, and Violet Song. Everyone except for Violet were skaters, and Violet was supposed to be the crew's camera woman, and I think her main passion was acting or drama or something. But I kind of lost interest in her and Rob, especially Rob, because even though I had an episode idea where the rest of the kids take him in and befriend him, he was more of a loner, and he just seemed bland, and so did Violet. It's weird that I feel like they were almost pointless, and it's also sad though because the two of them were supposed to be Indigenous American characters, like from the main state specifically. Hopefully, I explained that right. They're another underrepresented group of people, of course. Rob, well, I never gave him a specified tribe. I could say he's Lenape because the show was supposed to take place here in Philly, but Violet was half Alaskan Native. Not sure what's the specified group for her, but she was half Chinese, I believe. Someone out there's probably mixed with those two ethnicities, but I've never met said person. In general, I've wanted this to be a super diverse group of characters, despite the fact that I don't think I've ever seen any monoracially indigenous North American people in Philly. At least nobody my age in school growing up, unless, like I said, I just never met said person. Also, hopefully this won't take too long for me to mention, but I have no idea why this group is mostly boys. I think I just subconsciously drew boys way more than girls at a point, and maybe half of them could have had glasses too. Since as someone who wears and needs glasses, to think that representation of such will come up with my character designs, but that's more applicable nowadays with my work as opposed to the past. Out of all shows, I think I was mostly inspired off of Wild Grinders, which was a cartoon show by Rob Dyrdek about a fictionalized version of himself and friends hanging out, skating, and getting into shenanigans. Not everything about the show was great, but I would watch it on occasion, and you can kind of tell I was inspired off of some of the characters, the bold art style, etc. I might have been thinking about the Boo Crew, formerly known as Thugaboo, which played on Nickelodeon. I can only remember the Sneaker Madness special playing on the TV and not the Christmas special. but I was clearly inspired by the racial diversity, even if it wasn't very good writing or character types. Something I should have taken inspiration from but didn't at the time was Zeke and Luther from Disney XD. I never watched it as a kid, but looking back now as an adult, even though I didn't like certain aspects like the annoying little sister, I found myself laughing at a handful of moments from the show. And some of the shirts that the main boys wore were sick too. I really wanted to come back around to redesigning the Skate U crew just in case something ever comes back up. Plus, some of them were practically begging for makeovers. But the way I'm showing each video likely won't match up with everyone who I'm speaking on, but some of their old nicknames were a mess. The character now known as Verge used to be known as Virus, who had a pet dog named Cytoplasm. My perspective now is that if I didn't like most of the stuff that we was learning in school, why would I include certain elements? Like, what was I thinking? And the other one I question, the character who is now known as Jamie, her name used to be Jojin, and she was going to be Korean, and her nickname was going to be Jinx. Jynx. What was I thinking? It's so emo sounding. And it's weird because even though I seem to be on the verge of emo around fifth grade, even though that was before middle school, especially because I was listening to some so-called music artists that I will never in my life ever listen to again. My mindset, my attitude, the fact that I was just not happy, all that together had people, and probably not even a lot, but some people questioned if I were goth or emo. One person in middle school especially did. And I wasn't either. And it's not one of those things where I was ashamed of myself because of how I got roasted or talked about before. And now I came back to appreciate the music as an adult. Absolutely not. I grew completely out. I grew completely out of that. I guess someone might look at how I dress now and say I'm alt, but to me, people call stuff alt that seems like an amalgamation of goth punk and emo and those kind of aesthetics instead of just not the norm or not trending like I thought alt was supposed to mean. I don't know. What I have wrote in the script says that these characters could have probably still kept that edge to them that they had before, but I think the reason why they had it how it was to begin with was just from that time I created them all, like from around 2013 to 2015, which is when I was in middle school. But I guess it's just the fact that I find that stuff incredibly cringeworthy is the only word coming to me at the moment. I know people hate when others describe stuff as cringeworthy just because something's different, but I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. And of course, if you go deeper into certain things from goth aesthetics, especially, it's like demonic to me. Me personally. Speaking on this, Raul, back when his old nickname or maybe real name was going to be Ryder, he frequently wore a clothing line called Daredevil Dare. No, I don't know what that means or where I got it from. I just came up with it one day and I drew it on him. You would think that a modern take on a character like that would be wearing inverted pentagrams and satanic depictions for the look or the aesthetic, even if it's not what he believes in. But I hate that kind of imagery. And no, not that you as a viewer assumed, but taking all this into account, no, I'm not a Christian. I grew up Jewish technically. And yes, black Jewish people exist. But that wasn't my own choice, but I'm not going to ramble. Back on topic with Skate U as a whole, before I was even coming up with episode plots for Skate U when I was younger, and I still have a Word document about it. It's funny though because a lot of the document has stuff crossed out on it. The descriptions I was writing before were so embarrassing. Some stuff I'm choosing to omit from this, but like I had the main two beginning episodes of the Skate U crew forming together and adding more friends along the way, but also have a bunch of episodes that have nothing to do with the main idea, which is skating. You know how most of these kids shows are. They have a main motif, but then the episodes are the same tropes over and over that they repeat show after show. I originally wrote an episode idea about Verge's dog Cytoplasm, which I don't know why I thought that was a good idea for a name. I wrote an idea for a standard main character gets sick and friends take care of them episode. Wrote a Halloween episode in which they watch a scary movie and Crash got scared and had to distract himself with some weirdo baby show and maybe his friends had to try to get him to stop watching it or something because it was like borderline brain rot, which we didn't have the word for at the time, but I think that was like sort of what I was thinking at the time, but now people know the word brain rot. I wrote an idea for a hidden talent show episode where they show off other things that they know how to do other than skate, random stuff. I did have this one where Crash breaks his arm or something, which is weird because he's the only one that has on elbow pads, knee pads, and gloves, for example. Both Crash and Storm in their final drawings have helmets, and I think subconsciously I was supposed to give Storm some pads, but that didn't end up happening. This wasn't written in the concept plot for that episode of Crash getting injured. But I would think after this incident, maybe the rest of the crew listens to Crash when he tells everyone, like, make sure you wear protective gear, helmets, pads, whatever you need. Just don't go doing crazy tricks that you know you can't do. Altogether, I know nothing about skateboarding, and even if I actually learned, like, I wouldn't be in a position to make a whole show like this. I also recently had an idea that Skate U has a rival skate crew, where one of the members of this other crew would be a super old character that I haven't used in ages. And even though I designed a few skates for the Skate U crew, I feel like they should be more of the skateboarding type, and then their rival crew should be more of the roller type, with blades and skates. Who knows if I'll ever finish up that idea either. I have no idea if I'll ever get to be in that position where I get to pitch a show to a network. And honestly, if I ever get to, and if I'm ever confident enough to do so, or just make my own show in general, it'd probably be a completely different concept rather than Skate U per se. I have a few other concepts I'd much rather see as a show, but I guess it would have been nice to get something out of these kids. When it comes to animation as a whole, especially kids media, I get so mad about what I see now because I know there are a lot of issues back in the day, but shows now really feel the same, whether the art styles, the character designs, the fact that if they're musical, which is majority kids media for some reason, they have the same type of music and vocals over and over. They rely on the same things like overstimulation, noise, distraction, bad effects, or whatever to try to keep the kids' attentions. Especially when they try to make pop culture references and having non-black characters speaking AAVE. And don't even get me started on like adult animation because that's abysmal. I'm rambling again. I'm sorry, but I've just been wanting to see something different for such a long time now. And I've always been told that I gotta be the one to make it happen, like over and over. That's what I've been told. And I don't know if it's just overall with me losing interest in the ideas that I've had in the past, or if it's combined with the fact that I'm sick of people telling me it's gotta be me to make a change because unfortunately it's just not realistic for it to be me to make the changes that I want to see. Not everyone gets handed these opportunities, and then when I need help, it's not easily available to me and those close to me can't even really help me out like I wish they could have. I don't know. It's just on my mind right now. Hopefully, I'm making my point come across, and this doesn't just sound like excuses. Obviously, I know it takes work, but still. The drawings I made here, for all I know, might not end up being the final takes on these characters, and I didn't go as in depth as I really could have on their looks because I'm not super vested in them as I used to be. Well, I say that, yet I decided to return to this whole concept for a reason. One was to add something to my portfolio, of course, to show different looks that I'm capable of designing and capturing. Plus, there's a few different character design challenges I want to do, whether it's returning to old cartoon concepts I've had or making my own characters in existing franchises. I don't know how many of them I make videos of, but I wanted to try to get this one out there eventually. Even with my rambling, I hope you enjoyed and maybe you were inspired off of what you saw. Thank you if you made it to the end.